Okay, so I want to bring to your attention an agenda that's going on, and it's becoming more and more overt. And you're seeing it through the weather phenomenon that's happening right now. A lot of this has increased, and you're seeing people coming out of the woodwork saying that this is the next agenda. And then, of course, with the CBDC, the social credit score, and limiting you with regards to this, climate agenda to limit your output, your carbon emissions, and all this stuff. And so all of this is coming full circle to try to control you into submitting to what they say, what to do, so that you would restrict yourself. You have 15-minute cities, you have many things. And so a lot of people are observing what has just been an increase over the years of all of this natural disaster phenomena. Now, if you see this graph, I'll show you just very briefly from 1900s. And all you have to do to record this is to observe it and then count it. It's not like they had or needed all of this sophisticated equipment. So people are saying, oh no, that was back then. You can't really understand some of these things. No, these are massive geological natural disasters. If you have a flood, if you have droughts, if you have storms, you can count it. And so this goes up to 2009 or something. And then this next graph, you can see here, it just balloons, right? From 200, right, in the 80s, all the way up, like more than fourfold. It's in the 900s now. So clearly the increase in the amount of activity is evident, right? And then you have people saying, oh, it's climate change and all that stuff. But how many times, if you lived through the 70s and 80s, they talked about global cooling, then they talked about global warming. Now they call it climate change, right? And the James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, undercover investigations, and many things, right? So these guys, CNN and all these reporters, have openly admitted saying that the next agenda is to push climate change. They're just going to push it and push it and push it so that they can get you to, as I mentioned briefly, the social credit score, this climate agenda, carbon emissions, and tracking you with all that stuff, right? And so all of this is leading many of us to ask certain questions. Actually, before that, let me just show you some of the examples, right? So you have Dublin, Texas. You have these gigantic hail-sized, palm-sized hail. They're crazy. You have ice sheets along the coast. This is recent too. New York, I think in Lake Superior, there was a bunch. You have here in Hollywood Beach, Florida, this water sprout gust that has just been going around. Here in Anaheim, California, I think this was a Disney fire. Maybe it's not as much a natural disaster, but this dragon was put on fire, and then and in general, the wildfires in California, a big issue. You have Ferryville, Wisconsin. I think something derailed these cars. Again, another one of these questionable derailments, hazmat teams, chemicals, just all over. You have Corinth, Mississippi. Some lightning strike struck a gas pipeline, and then you have this huge explosion that has been going on for a time in some part, I'm not sure, in Florida, I think, this light phenomenon, some rare phenomenon known as a crown flash was captured. But many other people saying, I mean, is that really, or is that just an excuse for something else? And then you have dust storms recently here, even in Illinois, where I'm at, Farmersville, Illinois, there was this huge dust cloud just covering just miles, I guess, of cars and just all of these pileups of vehicles because people couldn't see, right? And then you have another one in Florida, Palm Beach, an entire car just got lifted up in a twister, in a tornado, and it's just devastating, a lot of these places. And then if you look at this light phenomenon, right, or first rather look at this, I don't even know what this is, some kind of an eclipse, but you could see that the size and just the sun and whatever's in front of it is crazy, right? So, I mean, look at as it moves, it's covering over and moving into the circle, the center. I don't know what this is, right? If anybody has any idea, it doesn't look like an ordinary eclipse, but it's something else. So you have this, and you can see it's like dead center, right? And then in Turkey, Istanbul, something crazy happened where in the middle of the day, bright sunny day, all of a sudden this cloud or some phenomenon made the entire city or the region go completely dark, black for like 5 minutes or something like that. And then after that went away, it just became light again. So it's some crazy stuff, like what's happening with some of this. And then you have all of this other light phenomenon. Basically, whether you want to call it the Northern Lights, and some form of that being shown. This right here is Kentucky, red and purple aurora or something here, Illinois, the tail end of a meteor shower. You can see there some kind of green lights in the same meteor shower, but in a different location in Missouri. Then Arizona here, more of these lights. And then lastly in Mammoth, Nevada, just all sorts of like the same kind of hue of purple and red and blue and just lighting up the night sky, right? And so people recording the stuff in the places where it's not supposed to be that place. And so all of this, again, begs the question of what's going on, right? And so this is a clip from the 90s, I believe, in congressional sworn testimony. Let me show you this very brief clip.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you.
So as you can see, something that a lot of us have been talking about is these weather manipulation tools. HAARP is a common term for it. Who knows, like what's going on, right? What kind of stations are out there beaming lights and things and laser? I mean, I don't even claim to know that stuff. But this person under sworn testimony is telling people like, I thought this was some conspiracy 10 years ago, but it's not. We have all the documentation and all that stuff. And so again, I've been saying before, right? There is a truth. There is something that whether you want to say it's highly classified, whether it's something just that the military knows, somebody knows something, it exists, it is tangible to see, but because there's a cognitive dissonance, because there's a knowledge gap, because people, when they can't see it, if you can't tangibly see it with your hands and observe it, then people won't believe it until they actually see it. So what I'm saying here is that there's some reality that exists out there with technology, with the advancement of all these things, an agenda, the globalists, the elite, the cabal, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, right? Something exists out there, and a lot of us as sheep, not having the news, not having the insight to see the data, right? Show some of those graphs there, as well as what really is going on. So something is going on, and more of this is being exposed. More and more people are coming out. A lot of people are choosing to brush them under the rug, say, hey, you're a quack job, you're a conspiracy theorist, all that stuff. But there's more and more evidence of this kind of stuff. It's not natural, right? You're not seeing what we've got to see in certain geographic areas of what needs to occur on a natural basis. And so it begs this question of what's really going on. Is there this kind of technology, as a lot of people have claimed and shown to be true, or is it something else? Is it that we're at the end of time, right? The Bible in Matthew 24, we all know the verse. In verse 6 says, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So you got to realize that this kind of stuff, yes, it'll increase. You'll continue seeing various things, but it's also more sinister in some sense. Maybe they're using it, right? I talked about this with the Turkey earthquake and many other natural phenomena that just seemed like it was, whatever, and it was very catastrophic. But is there something else going on that, the military nations are not going to come out and say, hey, we did it. Hey, that was us. This was the weapon. Let me just show you what it's like. They're not going to come out and say that stuff, but rather to wake up, to piece the puzzle together and to see, Lord, and in prayer, ask that, okay, I don't want to be naive. I don't want to think that this is just all what they tell me to be. And so again, a lot of this will be exposed, and realize the agenda of what's going on. Realize what they're pushing, realize what they're trying to submit you to do, and fight back, right? Go against what lies they're telling you by speaking truth, and to take action to say, we don't want this kind of stuff anymore. And so whatever that means to you, take that, but realize that more of this is coming out. You're going to see it. It's going to be proved. And you have to be in a posture of desiring truth. Otherwise, you're just going to write it off like many other people are, because you have this war, this information war. You're a liar. You're a liar. No, you're saying disinformation. No, that's not true. And if you're hungry for it, you could see and you can discern what is true. So more of this is coming. Wanted to give you guys just this little snippet, but all this is being posted. You're going to see more of this kind of stuff, but realize and know and question everything. Question these things and see why is it that it's happening in a certain geographic area. Could it be HARP? Could it be something else? We'll see. So love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.